Live to YouTube. Once you hear that the meeting is being recorded, you can start.
Okay. Okay, welcome to the Waterville Conservation Commission meeting. Today is Thursday, June 26th. We're going to call the meeting to order. I'm Paul Ricotta. I'm the chair. We're going to start with roll call.
Oh, Jenny Lucas, member.
Charles Hastings, I guess I'm vice chair.
Paul Ricotta, chair.
Steph Lebec, alternate.
Cindy Pecos, alternate. Rebecca Hastings, member.
All right, so we're not at full strength today as far as the full-time commission is concerned. So we're going to seat one of our alternates. Steph, would you like to be the alternate for today?
Yes.
Okay, so Steph Lebec will be our alternate and voting member. We're missing John Racine and Erit Levy, it looks like,
And Cliff.
and Cliff's an alternate.
And Kelly Cannon?
And Kelly Cannon, alternate.
That's right.
Okay, so the minutes were distributed. Did everybody have a chance to take a look at the minutes?
Mhm.
It didn't seem that there were any comments, corrections. So hearing none, any further discussion on them? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
Okay, Charles moves to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Steph. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I think we're all set there. All right, we're gonna move right into the town update since we have Mark here. Mark, did you want to give us some update on the wastewater treatment facility?
Yeah.
The 13th
So
and
we're
the,
continuing with the design phase of the project. Our next major milestone for the engineers is completion of what's called the 30% final design. That is due on the current project timeline sometime during the month of August.
Okay.
We are looking at potential little bit of tweak to the design to attempt to lower our proposed or anticipated construction costs. That may add up to a month and a half to 2 months to the project. So sometime between August and October. We'll receive the 30% final.
excellent. Is there any update on the 13.5 acres in terms of further studies, anything like that going on? that we
The
know of?
board did approve the use of $50,000 of unanticipated funds to be used for legal and engineering work on that parcel. We have not re-engaged with the town attorney or the town environmental consultant yet. But that's on our to-do for the summer.
Okay, excellent.
So we'll get started on that again. Basically, what we're gonna do is go back to DRA, to DES, and
Okay.
get the process started again for a pre-1981 landfill closure. So, we're hopeful that that'll be a very simple process, but that's the first thing we're gonna try.
Was it legally listed as a
Yes,
landfill
it
prior
was.
to
Mhm.
81?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we ceased using it as a landfill. That's the cutoff. The pre-1981 means we stopped using it as a landfill before 1980. If you use the landfill after 1981, you have to do a full-blown landfill
Oh, well,
closure.
okay.
Under the DES regulations, and those are very extensive. So,
I read that report that the 50,000 would be devoted to something related to the landfill and the 13 acres. What I've been wondering about is at what point will we, the Conservation Commission, find out what might happen? In other words, if there's going to be a cap layer put on it, would like, as a commission, to have some input on limiting how much of that cap.
I
goes
don't
into the-
know every step that's in
Yeah.
the DES regulations on a pre-81 landfill closure, but I'll make sure that the commission knows what we're doing. And I'm sure that there is some sort of notification to the commission that the town is pursuing that option.
I saw by going over the master plan that the Conservation Commission is listed as the lead party in developing a management plan
Mhm.
for conservation land. And I've thought about it some, and we've walked around it some, and part of it is clearly in good shape and should be left alone. And part of it is a gravelly mess and could use some fill over top. And so when the time comes, we need to discuss what kind of a plan we would like to see and how we would like, if we have some input, some of that $50,000 spent.
Those are the only two things.
I think there's one more, just since Irid is not here, and that would be the Conservation Commission's sort of task in what's required for updating the natural resources inventory, the NRI. Yeah, I think that's coming up for updating.
Right.
So I think if you could help us on that one or give us some guidance on what our time frame looks like and what
Well,
kind of
you-
needs to be
you
done.
would- the first thing you should do is, I don't know if we have it in our town files, but there should be a request for a proposal for an NRI study that we put out the last time we did it.
Mhm.
And you should prepare an update to that RFP.
Okay.
Distribute that RFP to appropriate people or firms that do them across the state. There's probably 5, 6, maybe 10 that would do an NRI for you. It's usually some sort of forestry management person or firm or, you know, an environmental firm.
Yep.
We did, who really used-
Sandwich. Ecosystems Management Consultant back in 2020.
So it would be 2019 or 2020 files, but that RFP. happened.
And Mark, where
So
is,
we'll look through. We'll look through the files and get you a
Okay.
copy of what we did last.
And it's on a 5-year update plan? Generally?
Yeah, I mean, anywhere 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
Actually, that NRI at the level that we did it was the first time the town had really done
Yeah.
an inventory. So that was very extensive. That I think is the executive summary. I don't think that's everything, because there were all kinds of maps and things that went with it. Where she actually walked around
Yeah.
town and did surveys and things like that, and then produced
Yeah.
that overall report. But there somewhere we have the supporting documentation that goes with it.
Okay.
my
And
question
this
is,
would be an update.
where is it spelled out? When and how often and what kind of update we're expected to do?
I'm sure that there's something under the Conservation Commission RSA's.
Yeah,
We should look at knowing the territory. It should be, there's a chapter, knowing the territory is like the handbook for municipal officials. And NHMA, the municipal association. prepares.
reason
And
that
then
was
it
such
may be
a,
in there too, that's your
yeah,
actual Conservation Commission
yeah,
handbook.
that was such a thorough inventory.
Yeah.
Most of that's not gonna need to be redone, honestly. But unless
Well,
we're
and
required
I
to.
would put that in the RFP, so review existing inventory. Report and help the commission determine what needs to be updated,
Yeah.
right? You can probably pare down a lot of the work. And a lot of costs, so you go through the RFP process. Get some proposals in. in the RFP, you would want to say that it would be for 2026.
Is there a
So
particular
it would-
budget in mind that we would, that we work with, that we want to work within?
I think that's what you're doing when you send the RFP out, is find out what you need to include as a budget request to do it.
Okay.
And I would say probably, if it comes in 10-20,000, that be on the NHMA site.
Um,
Yeah, that's the, University of New Hampshire's, assistance page that they use for. Maybe something there too.
We'll find something.
Yeah, so anyway, so you would have the RFPs, choose one that you would like to do.
Mhm.
They should be giving you price estimates for 2026. Because in the RFPs say that you're doing this for budgetary purposes to go to town meeting.
Okay.
With a budget request.
So I guess it's good to get started on that in this 5 to 6 year time
Yeah,
frame,
and
just
I
because
don't
we
think
have
need to
maybe
start
10,
with
but,
it now,
yeah.
yeah, and you
but
may-
since it has to go to town meeting for approval,
And then
probably-
if you don't, there's something wrong with the numbers, or you just wanna wait another few years. Whatever, you can put it on the, capital improvements program.
Okay.
For future years, you could do 27 to anywhere from we'll be doing this year out to 31.
Okay.
Let me see it.
In this handbook, it says natural resources inventories are working documents and should be updated every 5 to 10 years. There's no huge urgency.
Yeah.
So there's no.
A conservation commission should always work to keep abreast of new research and data and prepare addenda or updates to the inventory as appropriate. So,
Yeah, there's been some construction, obviously, around town since the last time we did it, but no major changes to any of our drainage systems
yeah,
or
yeah.
anything like that, that would. I mean, if you were building another Golden Eagle, Black Bear type
Mhm.
of facility and you were affecting a very large area, I mean, you have the one with Green Peak,
Yeah.
but again, it's pretty isolated
Yeah,
where it is.
just misplaced
Um,
critters.
Yeah, so, talk to folks, do some interviews based on the proposals you get back.
Mhm.
You get 3 or 4 proposals back, talk to a couple of the firms. And see what they have to say.
Okay.
And just one more thing. Natural resource inventories vary considerably among commissions. Some consist of reports with maps made entirely by commission members, while others are prepared by planners and consultants. Costs vary just as widely. In some instances, commissions have enlisted the help of college or graduate students. And others, commission members have collected and written the report, while regional planning commissions have provided maps. So lots of flexibility in how we approach this.
University of New Hampshire's cooperative extension is another resource.
Mhm.
that you
Yeah.
can use. They can plug you into those.
Yeah.
Students who are
Would have been a good
Do it
project
separately.
for your students.
interns.
See what?
It would have been a good project for your GIS student.
excellent. Anything else for Mark? Mark, did you have anything else that you want us to,
Nothing right now,
nothing that you want us to be looking at, anything?
nothing right now.
Okay. Any
We are
questions?
finishing up Jennings Peak today, so those wetlands permits will be closed out. They've done extensive work on the drainage in that whole area. All the way between Jennings Peak and Valley Road, but some excellent ditching and culvert was repaired. A lot of good work up there.
What's the plan on Noon Peak where the equipment's
Noon
still
Peak.
parked?
Noon Peak Road will be resurfaced. So the week of July 9th or whatever, 7th, whatever. Yeah, the week of July 7th, they will begin work in the Golden Eagle parking lot. And then as the contractor finishes that, they'll come out and do Packard's Road with an overlay,
Mhm,
and then, Noon Peak.
okay.
Megan and the crew replaced a culvert, one of the culverts
saw
on
that.
Noon Peak.
We saw.
We decided not to do the other culvert. There's no indication that it's
Failed.
failed in any way. That's the one that comes out of the school parking lot and goes across by Wendy's house.
Yeah.
So that one was not done. It just would have disrupted that area with summer camp too much because, and the culvert is
Fine.
still good. If they have an issue with the drainage in the parking lot, then we can address it at that time.
Are they, as you're coming down and you're hitting the first, you go, let's say you're going up Noon Peak
Yeah.
and you've gone past the Ray Center and you come to the first intersection of Forest
Hillside.
Rim.
Yeah.
Are they replacing, because they've done this one across this way, there's a perpendicular one.
Yeah, they won't do the driveway.
Okay,
That's working fine.
okay.
All right, anything else from Mark? All right, thanks,
Thank you
Mark.
very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, let's move on to the planning board update. We are missing John, our ex officio from planning. I think, Charles, were you at the planning board meeting?
A previous one, I wasn't at the last one, and the only question I didn't think we needed to ask Mark, Steve will know. Did the planning board accept the application as complete?
Yes, they did.
Yes.
Okay. So there's, I think we can just wait till then,
Postpone that.
postpone that, unless there's nobody else that was at the meeting that would like to.
Actually, it's on the agenda further down.
I listened to the meeting.
All right, so I think that was the main
Yes.
impetus of the meeting, wasn't it? Was to,
The acceptance of the minor things. They had
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 minor things that they had to address, and they did address it.
okay, so we'll wait for John to give the formal update, the official one. Then let's,
Yeah,
One,
There's a
one
public
calendar.
hearing.
oh, right, there's the public hearing coming
Yes.
up, yes.
yeah,
July,
Did everybody see that? I think that's been,
July.
yeah.
Yeah,
There seems to be a lot of confusion in town that people said they haven't gotten notice, like people who are permanent residents up at North Face said that they have no indication that it's happening. So I told them, get on the website. I sent them the link.
pay attention.
I said to post, they're gonna post it in the post office. They've gotta be proactive. We can't hand out
Right.
this stuff.
right.
They need to search for it.
Yeah. Right now, our posting locations are here at Town Hall on the, there's a board when you walk into the vestibule area on the left-hand side. The website, as you mentioned, Cindy, and the post office. So those are the 3 primary locations that we always post any public hearing or meeting information.
Yeah, because,
And we
right,
try to do the e-subscriber notifications as much as we can.
okay,
So that is if you sign up on our website for subscribing to different alerts. When we post these notices, there's an indication on the website that allows us to do a blast as well, an email blast.
the thing that I came up with, we went out to dinner with Pat and Ray, and I was telling Ray that there was a public hearing July 8th, and he went on the website and he said, no, there isn't. And I said, yeah, I said, I will go to town hall, and specifically, I looked for you when you were out. So I talked to Alicia, and she said that they would post it 10 days prior to.
Yep.
So I let him know that, and I said, and they've
Uh-huh.
got to notify the abutters as well, so.
Oh, yeah.
okay,
And this meeting will occur at the Brookside Room.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
So the
saw
post
that.
office.
Yeah.
oh,
that's
Can I,
right.
can I ask a question about the meeting? Is it going to show, I mean, is it going to show this beautiful facility that they plan on building there?
I know that the intent of the meeting is to take public comment on all of the documents that we have on our website concerning the application. I don't believe they have any plans to do any other presentations. I know the applicants will be there, but I haven't heard of a presentation that they're planning on doing. It's really just to get public input on all of the materials that are already out there.
But nothing to do about the construction of the buildings or the Adventure Center buildings that they want to put there and the fencing and all of that.
Oh, I think it's all of that. I think that's what this is.
Is, okay,
It's the whole plan.
Right, and a lot of that's described if you dig deeply enough into
okay.
what's on the website already.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, I don't believe there's anyone preparing to present anything new.
Because at the initial meeting, it was just basically the plan of where things were going to be, but we didn't visually get to see what the proposed ropes course was going to look like, et cetera, at the initial meeting.
There are renderings. of it.
There's renderings.
Well, I don't remember them.
Check this out.
I,
These are all public things, so
oh, I got some of this.
it's in there.
I didn't get this.
Yeah.
Oh, this is lovely.
Yeah, isn't it though?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'll get copies of it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Downtown Lincoln,
um,
you can.
So we have, yeah, I think all this is available publicly, as Steve said on the website. I mean, I can distribute it as well if people would like,
Could you send it to me?
Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm. or we can, yeah, absolutely.
I've gotten some of it.
All right, so let's move on to our old business. So Jenny, it looks like you're up first with the salt management. Did you distribute to everyone? Just-
Yeah. No, I gave it to everyone.
Okay, so everybody has Jenny's.
I can also.
looks really
email these
beautiful.
as well, but I know Cindy likes Pittman.
Sorry, guys.
And I know, like, I didn't know how often everyone checks their email, so I just figured I would bring copies with me. So, Cliff. The day, or maybe even the night of our last meeting.
Yep.
Said, I had some time and I put this together. So these are all
They're
Cliff.
very nice.
He put these together in like, I don't know, 10 minutes, like.
That's awesome. This
So
is
he did,
awesome.
he first did this one, which is a two-sider and it
Yep.
could be shrunk down. This could potentially be the mailer or whatever that goes
Yep.
out in the water.
I think
sewer
this is-
bill. And then a couple days later, he said, gave it another go and put this one together. So there were two different, but very similar
They're awesome.
options for, flyers to send to residents in the October, whatever month it is that we were talking about doing the potential mailing with the water sewer bill. So you can look at these. There is a typo on one of them. I made a note of that. And I'm pretty sure all the black lines are dog fur and my printer.
Thank you.
Those, you know, if you have a strong preference, one or the other, or, you know, they're pretty streamlined as it is. So as far as taking out information, that's probably not.
Probably not a good idea.
No,
This is
no,
gonna
this is
overwhelm
really-
people.
This
as
is
it
already,
is.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah, but you know, we can obviously shrink the font, make it on that
Mhm.
size
Yeah.
paper that goes in.
I just think this is great.
This one
This
is
is
good because
amazing.
there's enough visuals and
Yeah,
large
yeah, no
print.
kidding.
Yeah.
It'll get their attention.
Pictures, yeah.
Yeah,
So there's that. So that's something that we can maybe
Perfect.
read and
Comment and,
And-
yeah,
come back at our next meeting with
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
and put a final thing together.
Beet juice, I didn't know beet juice.
Yep.
oh, yeah.
Wow.
I think a lot of, yeah.
Yeah,
Alright, so then the other piece of the program was a potential letter to mail to condo associations, just to get them thinking and
Yeah.
aware. And so that's what this is, and this should definitely be shortened. I think who wants to read a 2-page or
Right.
1.5-page letter?
Right.
But this kind of has all the main talking points, so we can take some time and go through and condense or eliminate, add, you know, whatever you want to do. I really do like highlight, and I think maybe we should move this, the whole thing of we're a town, not a city, like that is
Yeah.
kind of the crux of the whole
It
matter.
is.
Like, it's like, what else do we have to say?
It's just like the sprinkler system,
It's just don't
same
even-
thing.
And as part of this, I think it might be neat. The Historical Society, you guys may have seen it on Facebook, published this photo. I'll pass it around. I didn't want to print it out. From the 1970s, late 70s. Of one of the lodges here in Waterville.
No
They
way.
put it out as like, guess what lodge this is? And everyone.
Oh, I did see that.
But just check it out, the snow
I
on the
know.
ground, before we started using salt everywhere like maniacs. And check out the cars.
I know.
Rear-wheel drive, like toboggans for God's sake.
Yeah,
So, I mean, come on.
And you know what
Yeah.
this is?
yeah.
Anyway, so that was, I think it would be fun to put a little picture of that in, like, and we're not talking about the town roads, that is what it is, but
Right.
this is
But
the
this-
condo
Yeah.
association, so just like you pull off of a clear road
Yeah.
into maybe a snow-covered parking lot, as long as it's not hilly or
Yeah.
unsafe.
I think often the more they scrape, the worse it is.
Well,
You
it's-
don't.
For the surface of
it
the
is-
road,
Yeah.
it's not good.
We
it's
need one
not
with the
good,
salt,
and then it
the white
freezes,
Yeah.
and it's-
coating on the pavement.
Yeah, drive out and have
You're right,
yourself.
that's a good
I know.
point.
Different type of white.
Anyway, so these are just some homework for the next meeting, if you,
No, this is great. This is really good.
Awesome. This is awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Like Cliff really just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
there's another cliff item coming up on the
Yes.
agenda too that we'll look at. It's good. All right, that's excellent. So why don't we all take a look at this work and this letter too as well,
Yep.
and kind of we
Review
can
and
communicate if
condense.
you want through email, a few comments back and forth, and then discuss them in more detail at the
Okay.
meeting, or rehash the comments a bit.
Yeah,
But,
I will email this all out to
Yeah.
you, so you have it on your computer.
And we
Yep.
were thinking of sending this out to
In
the
the water.
associations and
I think it's in
October?
October. I forget if it's a September mailing due in October due November. I forget.
We can ask them when we.
We could also check on that Green Pro certification and see what the training dates are for that, in case there's, that might help with our timing.
Okay,
So that if somebody does decide to do that, then we can have time to kind of get going on that. I'm thinking, but we
good
could,
idea.
that might help with our time frame.
And that actually, the Green Pro, that's for
Snow Pro or whatever,
landscape.
sorry, the Snow Pro, whatever it's called, the
Oh,
Snow Pro, sorry.
Snow from.
Okay.
Snow Pro.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. All right, so let's move on to the next item, which is Iritz. I don't think she informed me that there really hasn't been any changes on the Snowsbrook remediation project yet. She's still working in concert with Rick.
Okay,
And it looks like the time frame of end of summer, early fall is still
doesn't change.
hasn't really
Right.
changed. So there's really not much to say there. We'll just keep it on the agenda since it's an active thing as old business.
Yep.
Okay. Steve is not here, but I was gonna ask him about the website, what the
Website.
time frame was on that. But that calls into our next item as well, because that's one of the reasons why we're coming up with our mission statement and to post on the new website and the new website format and so on. So did everybody have a chance to take a look at the initial shot at a mission statement for the Conservation Commission?
I love it.
Okay,
I thought
it's on
it
the
was
back
great.
of the agenda.
I thought it was great.
So, yeah, it's, I guess, similar to the salt. Flyer, just, you can think about this, going over the next few weeks
Mhm.
and what we like and if we want to change anything. I was very impressed with it myself when looking at it, and a lot of the terms that are used are modern and
Yeah.
Biodiversity.
well intentioned
yeah,
and
yeah.
well meaning and well
Yeah.
I don't know how you say
And
it.
I know
There-
Charles thought it was maybe a little too long.
Well,
But
Bill
I
came up with
looked-
this like one evening,
It's-
just
Yeah.
voluntarily.
There
And
might
I
be some
looked at
areas
it-
where we could compact it, but
Well, I'm gonna revise my comments. It is beautifully written.
Written,
Yes.
yeah.
And it's gonna get put on the website.
Yeah.
We're not gonna carry it around in our wallet. It can be as long as we want. So I'd say
Yeah.
leave it alone.
Mhm.
And I looked at some of the websites that you had recommended, and some of those were longer
Mhm.
than
It's
maybe
probably not as well written,
you thought. They're probably not. Yeah.
but it's beautifully done.
I think
And,
it's-
I haven't looked at it again lately, but I don't know why we would change anything, and I don't think we need to, it is a little bit long. Usually mission statements are a little shorter, but that's for different purposes.
But it clearly spells out what our responsibilities are
Right.
and what we need to do. And I
And for the
think,
occasional person that actually reads it, say, wow, that's a nice.
yeah,
that's- I
well,
like
and
that."
we should read it as members
should.
often so
We should.
that we're
Agreed.
Yeah.
keeping up on the education in particular.
yeah.
So,
So everybody's seems in good agreement that this is a very, very
So,
good first step, if not,
on
something
Cliff's,
that could
on
be
Cliff's
finalized.
behalf, I would formally move that we as a commission approve this. Anybody agree with that? I move to approve this as the mission statement for the Waterville Valley Conservation Commission.
I second that.
all right, is there any discussion? We are down a few people, but I assume that if we need to, if anybody wanted to make an amendment, we could easily
that
do
up.
that and
Yeah,
amend the
I
mission
mean,
statement.
yeah, someone would move to
Amend.
amend and we could do it, I would think.
Does anybody have any further discussion on it?
Nope.
Everybody likes it?
Yeah,
All right, so I guess we can call the question and go for a vote. All those in favor of adopting the mission statement,
I,
opposed?
Woohoo.
I think we have our mission statement, so we'll keep that obviously in a safe place, and when it comes time to post it, we can probably post it on the current website if we want to, I guess. The current situation, with the current
yeah,
software.
probably, yeah,
So I'll talk to Steve about that and see if we can get that
Okay.
up there.
it'd be great.
I think it's a great, definitely was surprised when I received that like 1 or 2 days after the last meeting.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting it to go that smoothly, but yeah, so, okay. Excellent. All right, let's move on to old business letter E. Without John here, it's a little difficult to kind of go through this, because I think, he had an idea in mind that we would look at some of those
Yeah,
Conservation Commission responsibilities as outlined in the master plan.
Yeah.
And have a little discussion. So I'm okay like leaving that till to the next meeting if we want, and we're gonna keep this as a rolling agenda item anyway. Does that seem like a reasonable approach?
Yeah.
Unless anybody had anything right now that they wanted to discuss on the chapter 8, any of the that's the action plan. And I think that those little charts that had the, responsibility, that was what we were gonna kind of go through and
Right.
discuss,
yeah.
maybe a line item every
Yeah,
week or
that's
something.
what-
What I did last night, and maybe I'll just send this to you, and you
Thank
can
you.
mail it out. And that is that, there were, 7.
Nice work, Megan, your roads are looking great.
There,
This is the
7,
Green Snow Pro
yeah,
schedule.
Oh,
For the fall. She's like Cliff. Here's
that's awesome.
minutes later. So it looks like there's several sessions for the fall, September, October, November, so I think it would, and there's online one that's in July and August. We wouldn't be able to make that.
and this
Back
is
to the
more,
chair.
I think this is more in line for if we can try to see if there's any interested in the property managers. And
Yes,
those types of crews.
Yeah.
Doing this type of thing.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
I still think,
I
not to
think
go
making
back,
up, yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned before that Will Lambert's Valley Run Property Services and 3 Lakes are already Green Snow Pro certified. I don't know who everyone uses, there might be a bunch of, but making the condo associations just aware
where,
of the
yeah,
fact that they
Right,
exist, I think
right.
is huge.
it is, and I think. Unfortunately, the thing that really gets them to think about this is when they think about how much money it's costing.
I know,
And that's until you really put it in those terms, it's hard to get this through.
I know.
yeah,
So I think we want to think about that as we look at comments
yeah.
for the
Oh,
brochure.
good idea,
You
yeah.
know, like, I have a couple others I was thinking of too, but that's one that, is to try to get it down to the effect on
Dollars
the
and cents.
pocketbook.
Yeah,
And
Exactly.
the dues and the association fees, and that's.
the
Unfortunately,
other
what
thing
most
I-
of these people
that has to
respond
be a
to,
big part of their, plowing has to be a big part of their.
because it's not that the property
But-
managers
yeah.
necessarily want to. Use this much salt, it's just that they're being told to use this much, and that's what their ownership
Yeah,
wants, that's what their
Exactly.
board wants, they want, and there's obviously liability and other issues
What I was
factored in
gonna
too,
say,
but.
liability.
But, it's, yeah, so I think trying to bring things into the
just raise
cost
awareness,
per
continue the,
resident is
Yeah.
a useful.
what is Cliff saying, his thing, conservation literacy, trying to raise that bar.
So, on that, Charles, you were speaking on chapter 8. Did we cut you off on that?
We did, that's okay. What I would, there's actually something useful in going through this, I decided.
Very.
I was
Yeah.
a little annoyed at first.
I went through it too.
But, and it's a long document, but I think what we should do, and I think I will do this, I will consolidate into a single file of a few pages.
What-
Those sections that refer to what the Conservation
Yeah,
Commission
because this
is
is
either
all
partially responsible for or the lead for.
Mhm.
And I think it's kind of useful for members to be aware of and to occasionally remind ourselves of what it is that the master plan delegates to us as a responsibility. Some of them I think are not realistic, but at least we should be aware of them. So rather than having to, I don't know how many pages long the whole thing is, but it's a nuisance to go through it and it's easy to ignore it. But I might try to consolidate so that we have a single document that any conservation commission can have
I don't
access.
have it. He's done.
Remind ourselves.
But that's it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I went through it and put question marks adjacent to things that I wasn't quite sure about with conservation. I have asterisks. I have a bunch of different things.
Yeah, for example, one that Cliff was very concerned about, and he is a property owner on a trail end,
Yep.
thought that we should be more involved in, and it's actually listed here.
Mm-hmm.
But it also, Buck and I talked about it. It says that something about we are in some way connected with making people, property owners aware of the need to maintain trail
Easement.
connectivity in the
Yeah,
valley.
yeah.
Well, I think that's just an easy out by the select board. What are we supposed to do? Knock on the door, send annoying messages to people that, I don't know quite what we as a commission, I don't want to get into it now, but there are things on here that I'm not sure what they are, but at least we should be aware of them.
Right, and I think like maybe to your point, Charles, like on the trail connectivity, it might be something to the effect of trying, using the Conservation Commission as kind of an education
Yeah,
platform to educate people on the importance, why that might be
sure.
useful, and not
Yeah.
necessarily try to change people's necessarily their disposition, but give them some information that might
Right.
lead to better decision
You're
making
right.
when it comes to, so things like reducing perhaps parking issues, because now you've had this, you're not putting everybody in one spot to access a trail. You have better connectivity assist, and
Right.
I know that there's, there's some resources around here, particularly I remember like Nat Scrimshaw is very good at, explaining the sort of the concept of trail connectivity and things like that, and how this area is unique with respect to that. And by closing certain right of ways or shutting them down, it does have an adverse effect on sort of the overall feel of the valley and the, just the
Yeah.
friendliness, the
Yeah.
just being able to access different things and that you used to be able to access.
And our role in educating the public on certain values.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't think there's anything we can do necessarily to say you must keep this open or you must do that. But there is definitely a trend in the valley toward more
Restriction.
Private property, no
Restrict-
Well,
trespassing.
yeah, those signs are so offensive.
more
and
legal
We don't see
definitions
those
of easements and
that
legal
much
this and
around
that, and
here.
The thing up by me especially, that we have a lot of trails that have been developed by people that live in my
Yeah,
area,
yeah,
as you
got a
guys
lot
know.
up there.
The thing that really was an issue this winter were the amount of down trees that prevented people from accessing some of those trails, like at North Face in the back of my house over by Jamoka Way. Huge trees, and they just fell and they cleaned it and they left those trees to block it.
Block it so people.
So
don't
people
use it
can't
for-
go around
Yeah.
and get to those accesses. And I think that needs to be addressed also with the resort. If they're the ones or the trail maintenance crews that are doing that, they need to be able to access or leave an access point at those trails where those big trees are falling. And we've had a lot this winter.
that might be a little tricky just because
Yes,
they're not,
because
if
they're
they're not
not-
necessarily maintained trails. If
They
they're
are,
boot- if
though.
They're bootleg trails or
They're
whatever,
moving.
that
No.
the
Oh.
Forest Service might have
Yeah.
something to say about
Well,
Right.
that's
about
true.
that. So that
But
one we
they
gotta
are
be careful
bootleg
on.
trails.
Yeah,
But yeah,
up
if
to the
they're,
boot
but if
ladies.
they are maintained, that's different, like if they're part of
right.
the use already, but yeah.
I've already had my area cut and removed.
Yeah, and we're talking about private property. Does anyone understand the sign that is at the entrance of the conference center?
Yeah, what, I meant to walk up there to
Permit
read that.
parking?
What does it say?
No, it
Oh,
says
another one?
private, it says private
And then it has a
property,
cer-
doesn't it?
And yes, and then it has a circle, it has some sort of drawing with a line through it, and I haven't walked up to
I
see up
haven't either,
close.
I've just gone by
I just
and,
thought, oh my, 'cause people are coming in for these conferences and
And
that's
it's-
the first thing they see.
Yeah.
Just-
Can we have an off session without this? like,
No, I think it's important
But-
for them to hear it, whoever might be listening.
I was just curious.
It's ridiculous.
I thought it was,
Well, the other thing that, while we're doing this, when the men were here for that Christian thing a few weeks ago,
the layers.
The Warriors?
the Warriors, they were over by the ice arena using
no.
the property that says private property, and they were kicked out.
Really?
I mean, this is a community where you want friendliness, openness, and whatever. Somebody told me that they were discarding the fat from whatever they were cooking. Okay, maybe there should be a note of that, but ever since that whole area was always open and now it's all
Mhm.
private.
Mhm.
It's all private property. You can't do, whatever you want. Town used to be able to have 4th of July family picnics on there, and now that doesn't happen anymore.
Hmm.
And it's sad.
Curious.
I mean, I think we see that too by the area by the Osceola Trellis as well.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
That's
yeah,
all wedding
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Private, yeah.
It might be, like this area is reserved for permitted use, something like that might be a little
Yeah,
softer.
I mean, I haven't obviously had a conversation with anyone about it, but my suspicion is that New Hampshire gives broad protections for people that allow their land to be used for free. Like there's almost no liability to the homeowner if you allow people to walk across your land, as long as it's free. If you start charging for use, then it's a whole different ball of wax, and obviously the resort charges for,
Charges,
you know,
sure.
Every
permit
little
for that,
wedding.
for that,
Yeah.
so maybe they're in a whole different set of liability circumstances.
So this
But
could be part of
it's
our
still
trail.
ugly.
This
It
could be
is
part
still
of our
ugly.
trail education program that we might come up with, who knows, right? Because there are some,
Yeah,
a lot of these areas do have
Yeah,
paths and things that go through
Mhm.
there.
there are a lot. So Moose Run, where I used to live, we had an amazing path that went from the golf course all the way to the south end. I fought like a banshee to keep that open. When another homeowner built a garage in the middle of a portion of it that blocked it, and so they rerouted it. And then the homeowner came back and said, I'm willing to not charge the association for whatever. He said to the association, I won't charge you for relocating the trail or maintaining the trail as long as we can just close the trail. And the association voted to
Close
to
the
eliminate the
trail.
easement. The entire easement is gone now. That used to go from the golf course to the south end. It's sad. It's just happening over and over and over. Like, anyway, little vent session.
Good.
All right, so if that's, I think we can move on to our new business,
Yeah.
which the natural resources inventory, we kind of
covered
we
that.
covered that. On the next item, I think perhaps we want to just limit our discussion on that to understanding that the documents are available for review. And this is the outdoor recreation zone, and there is the public hearing coming up on July 8th
Mhm,
at 6 p.m.
mhm.
So the Conservation Commission obviously is interested in this, I believe, and we might have some thoughts to share at some point, but I think one of the, as we know, one of the missions of the Conservation Commission is to chime in where we
Yep.
might feel like something might not,
Responsible, that's
Yeah.
in that
as far as
section 8 there.
any
Right.
further discussion. I don't know, does anybody want to add anything right now, or just,
Because the public comment meeting is going to occur before our next commission meeting,
Yeah,
I probably should say a few things about it, since I have studied this pretty closely. And I've been giving a lot of thought as to, what I wish to speak at this and what kinds of arguments I'd like to make in the time available. And how to make an argument that's most effective, and I will speak as an individual. The commission, at some point, probably should meet to discuss a commission perspective.
Mhm.
But that doesn't need to occur before
Correct.
the next meeting. And I've thought of two arguments to make.
Just one second. So this is a public hearing, but is this just a public hearing or are they potentially gonna vote on it?
No,
The planning.
No,
board?
just to get input.
this is for them to gather input,
from the,
and they will probably, I hope, gather some feedback from the Conservation Commission, which is entrusted with advising the planning board. But they want to get public input, hopefully our input, and then they will no doubt sometime not too long away have an agonizing meeting when they, as a planning board, have to discuss the pros and cons of the
So
proposal.
that will probably be at their following meeting, which might be the next week. So we don't have a lot of time to get
Hard
that.
to say how soon they'll do it.
Okay,
Yeah,
We have, the planning board needs to have a decision by, I believe, 8/20, August 20th,
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. that's
for
right.
the Adventure Center.
on this application.
Yeah.
And so they have their regular meeting occurring on 7/10, and then again on 8/14, so they have two regularly planned meetings prior to
Yeah.
the 20th of August.
Gonna be a difficult, anyway, my arguments that I thought about, and I welcome input since I need to think through what to say. The strongest one I'm gonna make is, just the aesthetics of preserving the scenic integrity of the pond and its importance to the town and to the resort. And I could make various arguments about that. Another argument which, the Conservation Commission at some point might want to make their primary. And that is, even though Tyrell is exempted from the zoning regulations that we passed last town meeting regarding shoreline protection. What they propose to do here is really in flagrant violation of those and is not in the spirit of being a good town citizen. And there is some, I've found at meetings I've gone to, that Tyrell has at least tried to come across as being a good, concerned, long-term citizen. And I'm going to maybe argue that this is not a good approach. I also saw in section 8, whatever, that there is some mention that the planning board, the Conservation Commission should be concerned about the 25-foot clearance of shoreline protection. That's not enough, but at least we are entrusted with being mindful of that, even though Corcoran Pond is formally exempted from the zoning restrictions. And so I think the second argument to make is that we may be legally exempted from it, but how flagrantly should those restrictions be violated?
Yeah.
I thought a lot when I first read about this, that why can't they move the thing 50 feet farther back away from the shore and leave some of the forest there? And the reason why they can't is, now I see on the 2023 plan, they really don't have much room. But I think we should be mindful of that. And I recommend that if you haven't done so, go over to that corner of that part of the pond and walk up into the disc golf section, turn right towards Valley Road. And there are some beautiful pines there.
Big,
And there was
tall,
one
There's a
big,
great big old.
There.
white
Becca and I
pine.
together couldn't put our arms around it.
yeah,
And we've taken photos of it. And it's very close to where they're gonna put their giant climbing tree. And that will all get cleared. And I think we should make an argument somehow, I will try to, and maybe the commission, that it's inappropriate to clear that last remaining stretch of solid forest around the pond for the sake, for the integrity of what you see when you look at the pond. So, anyway, we as a commission will have to probably, we'll come up with something, maybe probably should put it on our agenda at the next meeting.
Mhm.
And if individuals wish to speak on their own behalf, think through what kind of an argument to make.
Mhm.
Can I?
It is the last remaining stand of forest, like you said.
Within the
And
town.
in addition to what you had said, preserving the scenic integrity of the pond, I'm gonna have to go back through my documents that I've been reading, but it might be in the NRI. Something about, or maybe it was in part of the other proposal, the other expansion proposal. Skyline integrity, like
Yes,
it, like you can't, that thing's gonna be
Yeah.
taller than it, so I
Yeah.
mean, there's that integrity too.
It's what
not
you will
just the
see from town square.
Entire,
It's the
Well,
view of the
And
pond.
the people in
I missed it.
condos there, what do they call them, the
The Golden
villas
Pines or
or whatever? They're upset now.
I hope they
Um,
are. This is gonna
Do they know about this, that when they look out there
point.
or sit on their
point,
deck,
Steph.
they're gonna see this huge structure
They're also gonna see a parking structure.
and parking structure?
And screaming
Maybe
kids.
someday.
Maybe.
Yes.
the other
And
thing,
is there some reason this, sorry,
no, go ahead.
that this isn't being built near the
The ski area.
ski area?
Sure.
Like
Sure, I'm sure
Steve
there-
said, because of permitting, right, Steve?
Okay, if the
The Adventure
forest
Center?
law-
Yeah, I know that the White Mountain National Forest has an extensive environmental study process whenever they're trying to build something new. or
Yeah.
Construct something new that is unrelated to the primary
Permit.
use
Current
of the
use, yeah.
mountain, which is skiing.
Yeah.
So,
It's, yeah, if you,
So can't we have something
their
like that?
amusement parks are not allowed on national forest
Right.
land. So that's, I don't know if they would have to go for some sort of amendment or something, so it would be a huge thing. But right now, they're not allowed.
Some of this in action plan in 8, it's very loose. When reading it over, what the responsibility of, certain parties.
Yeah.
My concern, and this is my concern going back to Cochrane, we're in the mess that we are now because of the fact that whoever management, because we had the conflict of Cochrane being town manager as well as resort, when the entity of the Waterville Corporation or whatever it was called disintegrated and gave the Cochrane's Pond to the town, gave us all the things, the sewer system that in cost-wise, the impact. You think you gotta look at it, the impact that we got stuck with. That there's no responsibility or onus falling on anyone else but the town, and not even the responsibility of the resort pitching in to do anything, i.e. Cochrane's Pond. The other thing that I'm concerned about is the fact that if we build this god awful structure and all these plastic garbage things, and let's say they sell and they leave, who's gonna pick it up? Who's gonna tear it down? I think we should have a bond in place that will go with structure, that it will be whoever owns that property is responsible for the demolition and removal of that.
If it ever
If it
gets
ever-
discontinued for
yes.
use, yeah.
Why should the town? I mean, we've been stuck with it. You
No,
know,
I agree, I agree.
I just don't think that, I think it's something that needs to be looked at. I looked at sureties and I looked at bond, and bond is a better issue to go with than a surety. To protect us. That's my point.
Well, let's hope we can.
All right, so why don't we,
Let's stop
Why-
it
why don't
before
we-
it begins,
why
yeah.
doesn't the commission, kind of see how the public hearing goes and we can see how that transpires and what issues are brought up, and also look at the Conservation Commission's sort of abilities to, and what we're supposed to be doing, and
Mhm.
see if there's anything that,
Steve, when is the next planning board meeting after?
July 10th.
So it's
2 days
after.
7:10, yeah.
It's,
Oh, or did he say for the 14th?
The.
The 10th, and then 8/14 is the
The
next
8th
one.
is the public hearing, and the 10th at 8 AM is their regular.
planning board,
So we need to ask the planning board and John, I guess. When would the planning board like to have some sort of formal opinion from the Conservation
Conservation,
Commission?
yeah.
Because time is short, we need to
Act quickly.
put this up, can we put this on our agenda for our next meeting, and will that be in time? I think so.
Yeah, it's in time. Yep, absolutely.
July, because it has to be in August. This is, the
deadline-
decision has to be made.
I believe it's 8/20.
20, yeah, I wrote
Planning board has to make
Yeah,
their,
that's what we said.
their decision.
So I guess, and so maybe in the interest of following this issue forward, we should probably, kind of see if anybody on the commission is interested in attending perhaps the planning board meetings coming up or the,
Oh, I'll
and
definitely.
certainly. the-
I
will
either
too.
listen to them or
Okay.
go,
But
one
I
or the
think
other.
we have to speak as individuals.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
agreed.
But just as so that we are, so that we have
Agreed.
people,
We have to stay on top of this stuff. We really do. We've got a lot on our plate.
I'd use the 8th as your opportunity as town residents to come and ask
Right.
questions individually,
Yeah,
and then, like you said, Charles, probably start crafting a letter as a board with a general consensus of their thoughts.
so it might behoove us to let people know, educate people about this. If there are people in the valley that have no clue.
And I heard that
And
this
you've heard
weekend.
that,
It's
so
true. So.
we
yeah.
need to maybe go, I don't know, do we need to go door to door and?
I don't
say,
know.
probably not as a commission.
I
as a-
was talking to Rich
"Oh,
Ellis,
as individuals.
and he's going, well, do you know so and so and so and so and so and so in North Face? No, I don't happen to poke my nose into everything at North Face, but he goes, well, we got a lot of full-time residents that know nothing about
About
this.
Yeah. So
So,
he's the person. to
I
talk
already
to.
talked to him.
You've
I
talked to
forwarded
him,
everything to
so-
him so he could share it with them.
Yeah.
To whom?
Rich Avis.
Okay, so let's leave it
I
at that.
don't hold out much hope from them since they're the ones that have cut down almost. in
I
front
know,
of our
I know.
condo.
That's only a few people, I think.
Well, evidently they were mighty enough to
But-
ignore it.
But I don't think they were a majority. I think they just snuck it through.
Well, then
And
they can't be trusted.
What, that's not true?
when they cut the trees.
Cut the
down
trees for the
On
views.
that slope.
Behind.
I
Okay,
don't know if it's some of the private.
so
homes.
let's leave the discussion there for now, I think, unless there's any other
Yep.
comments that anybody has
I think
strong
it was
feelings
the
on,
first
want to
condo
address,
that
but.
They had a view.
That's
They
pretty
said-
much it for our new business. Steve, there was one question that I had earlier regarding the website and the new software format. And then well, I guess the new format of what the website's gonna look like.
Mhm.
And we also, in breaking news, we did pass our mission statement. So we might want to put,
It's exciting. Steve.
so we might want to put that on, even on the existing website, if it's not too much of a bother.
Please share.
And yeah, so is there a time frame that you're thinking in terms of the website or the web redesign still?
Winter,
Winter, okay,
that's the last update I have. I did receive your email, thank you.
okay. So I think we will go forward then and put the mission statement up
Good.
on the
Good.
on our
Absolutely.
site.
Yeah.
And probably maybe
20 seconds.
even some links to the minutes and things, if we can do that,
Yeah,
if that's possible.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've been posting your minutes.
You have
Those
been
are-
posting them, yeah.
yeah.
I don't recall if they're on the Conservation Commission page itself that links to the minutes, or if it was somewhere else, maybe in just the town meetings. So anyway, okay, great.
Just on the website, sometime in the past year or two, we talked about posting some photos to the website.
Yep.
And I had some, I don't remember what happened with that. There aren't any photos. Is that an option to put a photo or two on?
Yeah, we can
Maybe
post,
with the new
was there a
retail.
project or something specific?
Well, I
There's
thought,
some nice
yeah.
pictures of the Greenbelt lot 32 right along Snow's Brook. I could post
Mhm.
one of those or.
Send me what you have, because we do have just one spot for a photo gallery right here And we haven't updated that in
I
a
lo-
long time.
I loved that when that was happening.
Yeah.
My dogs, or it's pictures of my dogs and.
I was gonna say, Anne, cause I talked to her about that.
Oh, right there?
Yeah.
And the last one is a bridge that goes over the brook, actually.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay,
Zach, you again?
Yeah, I think Sharon sent out an email like years ago, like.
That's
I was
awesome.
young and I sent her pictures and she put them up.
Nice.
I
nice.
think the snowball there.
That looks beautiful, doesn't
Isn't
it?
that beautiful?
Remember where that was.
nice.
I think that's the top of the golf course.
Yeah.
Up there, cool.
I think also maybe there was in the context of the new web design.
Yeah,
or
when-
maybe that's what we're,
I think
Having
so.
photos
Yeah.
on the
I
actual
think so.
Conservation Commission
Right.
page, yeah.
so, but we could try if it's possible.
Okay.
It does look like the
And
minutes
there are
are here.
minutes
Yes,
right
they are
there.
there.
Yeah,
at the bottom.
they
Okay,
are.
that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. The other, I guess we could just cover this right now. So Kristen has been interested in knowing if there's we want to secure like this time slot
Oh, yeah.
as sort of a recurring meeting time rather than sort of every meeting discussing the
Right.
next meeting date. Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Do you want to try that? See if that works?
I think it's great.
It'd
I
be
think
like,
it is
I
too,
like it.
yeah.
it'd be like the third
Third
Thursday
Thursday at noon.
at noon. Is that,
I think that's great too.
okay?
Yeah,
The noon time works pretty well for most people, it seems like.
Yeah.
Okay. And usually these meetings aren't too onerous, right? So we're out within an hour or
Yeah.
something, so, okay. All right, so I think we'll do that, Steve. I can let Kristen know to go ahead and just use that third Thursday of every month at noon.
Yep.
As our designated time slot for
I'll
this.
take care of it. I'll let her know.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, is there anybody here for privilege of the floor? See a couple water bottles, but nothing else. No one online, so anybody, no, okay. All right, so I guess we have the next item covered already. The next meeting will be July 24th at 12 p.m. That's the third Thursday of
yeah.
Yeah.
July. And we do have the three
Wait a
alternates
minute.
You got a problem?
or.
It's not the third. The 24th is the fourth Thursday in July. Third,
The
we're
third,
doing it the
fourth?
Oh,
third.
because it's in there, right?
Thursday's the third, the first Thursday is
It's
the
the se-
third, second is the 10th, third is the 17th. Fourth, there are 5 Thursdays and so
In July.
So does everybody want you want to amend this to the 17th?
I won't be able to make that one.
I'm fine.
Or do you want to leave it at this and then after this month, after next one, we'll go with the third?
Well, this
I
is
think
the
we
thir-
should maybe meet on the 17th.
Okay,
And Steph, you can always get a Zoom link. I don't know if you're gonna be like hiking in the woods or if you're gonna be
I'll
like,
be in New York City,
okay.
so I might be able to.
You
might
definitely
not.
don't have to, but if you wanted to, you could.
Crunch time with
all right.
But
everything.
because, yeah, with the planning board meeting,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, all that stuff having
Yeah.
just the week before, it would probably be good to meet. and
Yep.
Get a statement together.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll do the 17th if that's all right.
Yep.
Okay.
Right now.
Then
All right.
the August
Okay.
one would be the 21st if you want to go that far.
Yeah, plan that for you.
So I think we've reached the point of
We won't be here in September.
where we can entertain a motion for adjournment, if anybody is willing to do that.
Move to adjourn?
Motion to
I
adjourn in a second.